I believe having the knowledge of sales is so important. Now, let me talk about self-esteem because, of course, you shouldn't be egoistic, but you need to have confidence. Like, there are those people that walk your school hallway, which you can't stop, but like just look at them because you're just like, it's not that like you're attracted to them romantically, but they just have this like magnetic energy.
Yeah.
And it's because it's just they're confident. Their confidence draws you in.
If you could just present yourself, your name, and the name of your business.
Hello, my name is Ria, and I'm the founder of RiRi Bespoke Jewelry, where we curate jewelry that expresses stories.
Perfect. So, hi, Ria. Um, how did you first notice a gap in the jewelry market, and what inspired you to turn that idea into a business?
So I want to keep in mind that I started this business 4 years ago, so it was during COVID. So therefore, my country is on lockdown, and I was stuck on online school. So at that point, I was a 10-year-old girl that was scrolling through TikTok and Instagram, and at that point, dropshipping was in. That also
Hmm.
meant plain chains and pendants, which I can appreciate, but I also want some fun beaded jewelry once in a while. So that's when I started making jewelry out of rubber bands. So this is actually one of my first few creations. It was a bracelet and ring set. And then I started showing it to my parents' friends, and they started regularly buying from me as kids' birthday party favors. And that's when I knew something was here and that I turned into the business. And that's when I also started like improving my designs. So this was the next collection I did. It was the garden collection. So this is also when I'm exploring jewelry photography, new techniques, and these are some of my now most recent creations.
Well, that's really nice. Um, how did you conduct customer research to determine the market size and understand what people wanted?
Honestly, I just took the risk. I was an 11-year-old girl who just saw people buying her bracelets and thought I could make something out of it. And I think this is a misconception in business that, we're taught to like make very like intense business plans, like, oh, do all this like paperwork. And I get it. You want to plan, you want to make this succeed. But a part of business is also being in it, taking the risk. And that's that's something I wish more people took away from business is that you really have to just jump into it. And that's what I think 11-year-old Ria did. She really did.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you saw an opportunity and you jumped straight into it.
Yeah.
And what process did you use to manufacture the jewelry?
So actually, I used to make jewelry by hand. And I actually learned that via YouTube. But now I have artisans in India.
Okay, that's great. So is it a factory or do you have a team working with you?
I have a team working with me.
How did you initially market and sell your product? So I know you talked about your parents buying, but were there other, like your friends or other customers, and how did you acquire them?
I mean, I had friends too. People were excited. I mean, this fifth grade, like fourth, fifth grader has officially started a business. Like, let's support them. And so that totally like made people excited. And then I also started posting on social media. I started posting on Instagram. And now I actually have a mix of online sales and in-person pop-ups. This is actually a recent pop-up I did. So this is like my more elevated work.
And so how did you get traction on your social media? Did you market it through other accounts or did you just wait and see?
So I do organic posting, so I post once a week.
Okay. Can you tell me about your economics? So how much you spend on manufacturing, marketing, etc., and how much profit you make either per bracelet or in general?
Okay, so profit margins are low, and the reason for that is that where I come from, where is Singapore, we're also very close to China. And I think that's very important to note because again, you can get your stuff easily manufactured and shipping it to you, it's not expensive. So therefore, I have had to deal with people actually bargaining with me to like try to make the prices go low. So therefore we've had to keep our profit margin minimal. And when it comes to general profit, I haven't still turned profit. And I think it's really important to know is that startups aren't immediately successful. And most startups actually don't turn profit for the first few years.
Hmm. Yeah. So what you did was you started making bracelets and selling them, and then after that you decided on um your real prices?
So for me, of course, it was like making the cost. And so you have the cost of it and then just trying to add a dollar or two. It was really like trying to keep the prices as low as possible so people would buy from me.
And can you share a story about a customer or order that was particularly meaningful to you and what that experience taught you?
Okay, so one story that immediately comes to me is when this teenage guy messaged me asking him to make bespoke earrings for his crush that he was going to ask out to his school dance. And it was such a memorable experience because, like, it was so refreshing. I think in business, we always look at problems. We forget to actually look at, like, how much you grow and how much you experience. And it was so fun. Like, he was so excited. I still remember him messaging me throughout the school day with ideas he had. And this was really an opportunity for me to reflect on how much jewelry means to people. So here were a few mock-ups we did. Do you want to guess which was the final?
The one all the way on the right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It took a lot of time to remake because, like, he was very particular, but you know what? I think it meant a lot. I mean, this was his first time buying earrings for a girl, especially a girl he wanted to impress. And I've noticed as well that a lot of people so my main work is bespoke jewelry. That means, like, if you have a design or if you have, an outfit you wanna wear, that's what we do. And another story that comes to my mind is actually this lady who was a bride and buying gifts for her bridesmaids. And I was like, oh my God, like, s- this is the anklets. We did custom anklets for her. I was like, how can, like, someone choose to include me in their wedding day, something so special? And that's all part of RiRi, which we use jewelry as a medium to tell stories.
Yeah. And do you know how the bride reached out to you or how she found out about your business?
It was through a word of mouth.
Okay. That's really nice. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced starting your business? And were there moments where you doubted yourself? How did you push through those moments?
So, first problem is definitely customer acquisition. As I've said, I've had people bargain me over necklaces, over jewelry. And keep in mind, my jewelry is handmade. So, like, I spend hours on these projects sometimes. And I think sometimes people just don't understand the value of handmade goods. And it's an ongoing struggle, which I'm trying to overcome through social media marketing.
Okay. How did you come up with unique ideas for your jewelry? I know you talked about that a little bit, but I would like to know more. And what advice do you have for other young entrepreneurs on standing out in their market?
So, coming up with unique ideas in jewelry is difficult. I mean, it seems like everything has been done before. But one thing is that you do not need to reinvent the wheel in order to be unique. And one thing that can't be easily replicated is the stories behind these pieces. So when I make products for clients, I'm trying to incorporate their stories, and that can't be easily taken. You know, like this anklet, what is a symbol of? It's a symbol of celebration. And actually, this is a traditional Indian design that is for good luck. And so you can't really take away those stories. And while people may look at it as just a simple piece of jewelry, it actually just it represents so much. So I think to make something unique, it's about adding your own twist that might not necessarily be obvious to a normal person.
Yeah, definitely. I think jewelry is more meaningful than what people think. And sometimes I think of jewelry as like good luck. So, how do you manage the business aspects such as marketing, finances, and operations? Do you have a team?
So I do have a team for manufacturing, but when it comes to like marketing, finances, that's all me. And I think that's the beauty of your own startup, you get to try so many hats and like look at roles that you could possibly work in a corporation. It allows you to see what you like and don't at a very young age. So for example, I'm a creative person, so I thought, oh, marketing would be something for me. But I after doing social media marketing, I realized I don't thrive there. that's not a place I would love to spend, do a 9 to 5, like, for, like, 40, 50 years. But I got really interested in the finance side of business, so now that's allowing me to reach out and, like, pursue other opportunities in finance.
Yeah, this is really cool. And does sometimes managing all these different aspects become overwhelming, or how do you organize when you work on each part?
It definitely can get overwhelming at times, especially, like, as entrepreneurs, we all go through the constant battle of resisting to give up.
Hmm.
Like, entrepreneurship isn't easy, and whoever told you that is lying. It's a lot of hard work for a slim chance of success. And so it really, especially as a student, when we have so many things going on. We're doing exams. We also have a social life. I also am a podcast host of a podcast called The Spark That Lit the Flame, where I talk about famous crimes and cults risings. So trying to manage that, trying to just do everything. And it sometimes does feel like you're drowning in work. But one thing that I do is I just remind myself about why I started. Look at a photo of 11-year-old Rhea, and it just makes me want to impress her, show her where her baby has grown.
Yeah. Um, where do you see RiRi Bespoke Jewelry going in the next few years? And are there any new ideas or projects you're especially excited about?
So I'm currently rebranding RiRi Bespoke Jewelry. So the logo on the left is the old logo, and this is the brand new logo. And I wanted RiRi Bespoke Jewelry to reflect a more sophisticated and elegant vibe. Like, if I had to think about Riri as if she was a person, she would be a corporate baddie who is confident, elegant, and sophisticated. And another thing is that I started this at 11. So I feel like, a lot has to change as I'm also growing up. So I believe that Riri is also a reflection of my personal growth. And I'm also currently redoing the website, making it a more sophisticated look, and also just something that I'm proud of.
Okay. Yeah. What do you use to build your website?
I use Shopify, which is the best, I think, for online stores. It is an investment going into it, but, I have never had a smoother experience with website building.
Okay, perfect. What's one big lesson you've learned about entrepreneurship that you wish you'd known when you started?
One big lesson I learned is the importance of social skills and self esteem. Over the past 4 years, I've seen myself become a more confident socially as I do exhibitions, as it's allowed me to practice my communication skills with clients. And I think it's taught me the most powerful skill, which I believe one needs in business, which is sales. Because sales teaches you persuasion. And in this world, we constantly have to persuade others. And even if you're not running your own business, I believe having the knowledge of sales is so important. Now, let me talk about self esteem because, of course, you shouldn't be egoistic, but you need to have confidence. Like, there are those peoples that walk your school hallway, which you can't stop, but like just look at them because you're just like, it's not that like you're attracted to them romantically, but they just have this like magnetic energy.
Yeah.
And it's because it's just they're confident. Their confidence draws you in. And I'm still actively working on this as I do struggle with low self esteem. But, you need to have some pride in what you do. For example, like when people used to ask me, like, what my hobby is, I now recently started dropping in that, hey, I run this business. It's more than just a hobby, actually. And as people say, shamelessly promote, like, build loudly, you know, post about your growth over Instagram, post over LinkedIn, just get people aware of what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I think being a teenager, that's what a lot of people struggle with is how people will see me if I do start posting a lot about this business that has just started. And I feel like it's really inspirational how you just
Yeah.
put it out there and it worked.
I think I think it's so important to put yourself out there. Like, even when it gets hard. Like, I remember being cyberbullied over my business account, people like spamming me comments. But honestly, I just see it as, hey, like, the algorithm loves if you comment a lot, if you share this post. So, you know what? This is in favor for me. And also, like, haters will be haters. You have to just learn to ignore them.
Yeah. And finally, what advice would you give to other young entrepreneurs who want to start their own business?
Running a business is like running a marathon. First, you'll be barely able to run a mile. Then you're able to run another and then another. Over time, you're just tweaking a strategy, testing out different things to slightly improve. And that is running a business. You won't immediately start off with making $10,000 a year. as I previously mentioned, most startups lose money in the first few years. And another thing that I actually learned from my AT entrepreneurship class at school is that, you can't run a startup like a mature business from day one. Therefore, you need to make sure that you're planning for your business and treating it like a startup. Like be flexible, start small because I started jewelry out of rubber bands. I didn't immediately start with, I'm going to go find a manufacturer, I'm going to immediately do this, which honestly, I think makes a very interesting story. And people love stories.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It was really inspirational. And I personally learned a lot, especially with Spark Buddies just taking off. So, yeah.
Thank you.